Hey guys, it's Trevor Plouffe coming to you live from vacation to tell you there are 100 million reasons why you should listen up. DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports, is celebrating the return of sports by giving away up to $100 million in prizes to all of their customers, including one lucky winner who will take home a $1 million cash prize. To claim your share of up to $100 million in instant giveaways, all you have to do is download the app and sign up using promo code Jomboy, and then enter DraftKings free football survivor pool. Yes, it really is that easy to claim your share of up to $100 million in instant giveaways and put yourself in the running to win a $1 million cash prize. While the top prize is reserved for one lucky winner, everyone who signs up and enters DraftKings free football survivor pool will receive an instant bonus of at least $5 in value upon entering. While you're in the app, don't forget to check out all of the great daily fantasy contests DraftKings is hosting for this week's basketball and golf action. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code JOMBOY to claim your share of $100 million in instant giveaways and put yourself in the running for the $1 million cash top prize. That's promo code JOMBOY, JOMBOY, to get your share of $100 million in prizes. Only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sequence. I'm your host, Trevor Plouffe, and today we have another very special guest with us today. 2006 MVP, four-time All-Star, two-time Silver Slugger, batting champ, Justin Morneau, the pride of Canada. What's up, dude? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to doing this.
In this particular bat, we're in Detroit. I don't think I was up for this. I think I was still in the bushes, up and down. But I do remember the game. Max Scherzer on the hill. Second at bat, I believe, was when you took him up top. 3-1 changeup. We'll have Kyle clip that in right here. It was a bomb. So now you have that in your mind. Sitting here in the top of the seventh. He's still in the game, in a jam here. Don't really know why he was pitching to you, to be honest with you. But, you know, I'm glad he did. Baby Morneau, or not a baby Morneau. This is a thick Morneau, a little bit older. Max
so
Baby
you said
Scherzer.
Took him deep on a 3-1 changeup. So I'm sold out to the fastball right there. I'm 100%. He's not throwing me another changeup, especially first pitch right here. And then I missed it. You can see the reaction. Yeah. And, you know, some of that was for myself and just a natural reaction. And then some of it was for the pitcher and the catcher to see, like, hey,
ooh,
I try and play that mental game of, hey, you got away with one. Don't like do that again. You know, I was kind of, now he's out there thinking he beat me with that pitch. So what does he do?
Okay.
He comes back to it. And then we saw Victor Martinez behind the plate. He was in Cleveland for so many years. So kind of learned what he was doing, but he made a mistake there. That was actually a better one to hit.
Yeah, he tried to come up and in. Like you said, you kind of okey-doked him right there. You're like, oh, man, he beat me. Essentially challenging him to come back with another fastball. He wanted to get it up under your hands, but definitely left it over the plate here.
Yeah, this is a mistake pitch right here. It's definitely not where he wanted to throw it. And that one, but there were some of them, like, so sometimes I would foul the ball back like that, like the first pitch, and it would be right above the pine tar. But I would try and act like I just missed it, you know, like he got away with one. And I'd try and play some mental game when I was sitting there of, you know, how this guy, he got away with a pitch right there. And maybe I didn't want him to throw it again because it was off the pine tar. So then I would, you know, try and get him to get back over the plate because I was a guy who liked to get his arms extended and you know, tall, you know, 6'4". So the hardest pitch for a tall guy to hit is up under their hand. So that's the last thing I want to see is him keep doing that. So we go through next pitch.
All right. Yeah. I was going to say
I'll call it non-competitive. Okay. So we get to here and, you know, I hit his changeup out earlier in the game. So he's throwing this as more of a split type change where he's going to try and strike me out and make sure he doesn't miss over the plate and in the zone. But for me, in this part of his career, I felt like I saw his changeup really well.
I can see that because when I'm watching these at bats, it kind of comes out so differently.
To me, he tried to get so much fade on it that so when I was looking at a pitcher, you know, I think it was Tony Gwynn said he'd look at the label on the hat and then transfer to the release point. So I was trying to see the ball as deep in that release point as I could and try and see hand movement. So for me, he turned his hand over a ton to try and get that ball to fade down and away to a left-handed hitter. And I saw that early because to me, his arm action and his arm speed on his fastball was different than his changeup. So his that ball would kind of pop out a certain way, and I would see it, and it would just sort of fade on me, and I would see it early. So it was one of those things where I felt like the only pitch that I was really uncomfortable with was that fastball up under my hands, and I needed to be ready to hit that. I felt like if I saw his changeup, I would have enough time to hold on and use my lower half and to keep my hands back to be able to take advantage of that changeup. So I had confidence against the guy, one of the better pitchers in the American League at the time. I had confidence against him, and it was just because I felt like I saw the ball well. And I think the other thing I'll say about that, when you face aces, when you face number one, they're guys who have confidence, they challenge you. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not out there, you know, nibbling around the edges of the zone. They're not out there. They feel like they're better than you. They feel like they've got something that can get you out. They feel like they can beat you. So then they come right at you. That's why I love facing Scherzer. I love facing Verlander, you know, Roy Halladay. You know, there's certain guys that you knew it was going to be a tough day and you had a good chance of getting an 0 for 4, but you knew they were going to come at you. It wasn't they're going to try and trick you and fool you and get into a 2-0 count and throw something that you're not expecting. You know, so they kind of went through this whole mental game of I enjoyed that part of it facing these guys. It was always a challenge facing the best, and he was one of the best, but I felt like I saw the ball well off him. So this one, little misfire. It's like you can see his arm speed's a little. He's got more confidence in his fastball. He's got more conviction in his fastball.
He was trying to blow that by you.
Yeah, it's like he's going to beat you with his best pitch, and he understands his best pitch at that time was his fastball. We were watching this earlier. I said, "Oh, there goes an RBI right there."
Every hitter that's up there, there's a pass ball. You're like, "Oh, like I'm happy we scored a run," but
a little different with 2 outs, though.
Yeah,
you know, with 1 out, that's that easy sack fly. You're out there going, "All right, this guy's with 2 outs, a little different story." But
what are you thinking here? Because you can go.
Me, I'm just trying to think. Stay on the ball. So with 2 strikes, a lot of times I would choke up. So I was a guy who was off the bottom of the barrel, and then I would move the barrel, you know, the knob of the bat below my hand. Most of the time, it was in my grip. 2 strikes, I would move it down, and I would try and stay on the bigger part of the field to give myself a chance to hit more pitches. At that point, I made myself a little more vulnerable to a fastball up and in, but I felt like I could cover fastball away. I could cover slider, curveball, changeup, whatever it was, if I, you know, focused on the big part of the field when I got to 2 strikes. So for me, the way it was taught to me early in my career is the first 2 are for you, the last one's for the team. So you have 2 chances, you want to try and go deep, and then you get to 2 strikes. Your job is to try and make an adjustment and put the ball in play and try and give yourself a chance to get on base. So
yeah, especially the runner on third too. It's like, you know, a lot of people now say ace swing all the time, ace swing all the time. Well, you know what, dude? Like when there's runners in scoring position, you know, learn from you learn from Miguel Cabrera. Like just get the job done, dude. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You're not always going to take your ace swing, especially against a number one like that.
Yes.
If we get back to it here, he goes, this one's a little better.
I'm guessing changeup. I don't remember what it was.
Well, see, I try not to guess with 2 strikes either. I try to give myself a chance. So this was a little more of a check swing because this ball started inside.
Yes.
So you see me check on it. And the reason is because I was aware of that fastball in that first 2 pitches in the at-bat, he beat me with the fastball. So I think, okay, I hit a home run on a changeup. He's probably going to try and throw me something hard to blow me away. So that was a very smart pitch right there. You go soft down and in because that left-handed hitter, that hip flies open a little bit sooner. You make up your mind a little bit too soon, and you end up chasing pitches like that. So that was a smart pitch. So he goes to that, and then I end up taking it, and then I get to 3-2.
And you remember the previous at-bat where 3-1 you hit a changeup out. Now here, are you sitting dead red then, or do you still have that in your mind?
I stay on the fastball. Yeah, with 2 strikes, here 3-2 was a tough count for me, especially with a base open, and you know you try not to let that stuff play into your head, but you're going all right.
Base open for sure. You have to think about that here.
1-run game.
You up there.
Probably the last hitter he's going to face. His pitch count was up over 100 at this point, so there's a lot of factors that go into it. And
you still got the win going right now.
What's that?
You still got the W too right now. So in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, this guy doesn't want any part of you. But let's get to the pitch here.
But he's a number one. He's going to challenge you.
See the moneymaker. There's D-Span. 3-2. D-Span on third. They already took one of your RBIs away, and here we go. Whack.
A drive to right field.
Tries to come inside. Misses that spot.
He had a lot of tail on his fastball, even in mid-90s. So this one ends up, he's trying to come in, and you see it late. It runs back over. But I feel like the only reason I got to this pitch is because I was up off the end of the bat. If I'm down off the bottom of the barrel, I don't get the sweet spot to it. So because I gave myself, or I felt like I gave myself a little bit more time by choking up on the bat, I was able to just take my hands to it and let him provide the power. And it was a simpler swing. The first swing was a big swing, fouled it back, kind of fell out of my balance. My front side kind of came off, and I looked like I was mad, but I missed it because I probably, wasn't as short or wasn't as compact as I was with 2 strikes. So there's a big difference there in what I allowed myself to do. Now, obviously this ball's center cut, but you still have to get the barrel to it. That was still above the belt. You take an extra long swing or big swing on this. See, that's just letting the ball travel, trying to just get the barrel to it. And then it ends up, working out. It was one of those things where you just have to trust your hands and you have to trust your approach. And I always felt like if I was able to do that, then I was better off. And I would go through times. I talked to Rod Carew about this, with 2 strikes, he would look at you and go, why do you change with 2 strikes? If it's successful with 2 strikes, why don't you do it all the time? So it was one of those things that I kind of battled with, because you have a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest hitters of all time, say something like that to you, you kind of question and go, that does kind of make sense. So then I went and looked at it. I think I hit almost as many home runs with 2 strikes as I did with less than 2 strikes. So it did make sense. And I did actually, in 2008, for almost the entire year, I hit that way up off the barrel, because I felt like the previous 2 years I had a lot of success off left-handed pitchers by thinking opposite gap to their fastball and giving myself a chance to stay on the breaking ball. I felt like in 08, they started throwing me in a lot more, and I didn't want to have to cheat to it. So I took that 2-strike approach and switched for a year. And then I went back the next year for some reason, but it was one of those things where I felt like I had to make some type of adjustment because they were adjusting to me. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's an interesting thing and you said at the beginning, there's a lot going on up here during my at-bats and thinking about my swing and everything. But that's how I kind of looked at it is, if you're able to adjust, you can stick around a little bit longer. If you have one swing in the same spot and you keep getting out the same way, you're not going to last very long. And I think, that was something that I tried to do, was adjust as it went along, and making an adjustment with 2 strikes allowed me to have success off a guy like Scherzer.
I love it. I mean, we talk about that all the time. Like, you have to be able to make adjustments. You can't just have one swing. And you're like a living embodiment of that. If an MVP says, I got to make an adjustment because the league's making an adjustment on me, guess what, kids? Like, that's what you got to do.
I think the other funny thing about this, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other funny thing about this is, Jim Leyland, one of the best managers of all time, saw him at the batting cage the next day. We're taking BP. He comes out and full spikes, everything like he did. And he comes out and he says, man, I kind of had like that little, try not to look arrogant, but I kind of had that little smirk on my face, like I got you last night. He comes out dead, straight face, no emotion whatsoever. I shouldn't have let him face you last night. I'm sitting there going, he goes, I had the lefty ready. I don't know why I let him face. You already took him deep. There's no way you should have had that at bat.
I was wondering the same thing.
He goes, I bring in the lefty. It's game over. No credit for the homer off Scherzer. No credit.
Who was the lefty, though? Because you never know, man. I'm trying to think.
I don't even remember.
Phil Koch, maybe, or something?
No, it wasn't Koch. It was, I think they showed him at the end of this clip. But it was one of those things where it was the only reason I had success was because he made a mistake. There was no credit being given to the other team's hitter. I just thought it was one of those things. I was like,
that's funny.
Skip, you're the best. Yeah, it was good. I didn't take it as insulting. I took it as him just having so much pride in his thought process as a manager. But he stuck with his ace.
Yeah,
and it ended up costing him. I mean, he'd throw the ball well. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he stuck with him. It didn't work out, but it was just funny to hear his thought process after that.
I love Jim, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, running through this at bat with us. We're going to do one more with you. Catch Justin as the color commentator on Fox Sports North for the Twins games. Every single time you're on the broadcast, I just get an influx of tweets like, Justin Morneau's the best. We need more. We need more. We need more. So you're doing a great job, which is not surprising to me because you know the game so well. So I appreciate you coming on, sharing your insights, and we'll be back with at bat number 2 with my man, Justin Morneau.